Okay, I just want to let you, I want to show you one thing. When I played that first game, I only got 1 star. So, excuse me, when I went back and played it a second time, it turns out I have a whole different layout. I've got links on top, I have a shadow bubble on top. None of these were shown in my first layout pick. So I took a second one. And again, I will fix this to show you those different, the different things that I need to do. Okay, I finished my second layout. This is what it looks like. It is a more accurate depiction of what the game is that they're really playing. Now, I've already labeled this down here, but sometimes, and I find I do this more often than I like, you forget to write the bubbles in your cauldron, which you cannot get until you open the game. However, usually, you can't see it here because I've already written over it. Usually, if you do, you can find the number of bubbles in your cauldron when you start the game right here in your picture. Or you can reduce, like I say again, go into your game. You never have to close out of your game. You never have to close out of your paint. And then I click on paint, which is down here, and brings me up brings me my picture back. The same goes for your line of vision. Now, the one thing you have to remember is you have to subtract all the extra bubbles before you write in your total number of starting bubbles for the cauldron. You have your 3 extra free bubbles that you're getting from your friends. I have the Charm of Plenty, which gives me 5 permanent bubbles in my game, which means I need to subtract those 8. That's a total of 8. I need to subtract that 8 from the 28 that I have shown here to give me starting bubbles of 20. If you have the 7 extra bubbles potion added to this, you also need to subtract those. In my case, that would be then 12, I believe. 5, 8 and 7 is actually, that's 15. So whatever, you need to subtract all of your extra bubbles before you write in your totals. Now, I'm also going to show you, I made a mistake on my last picture, and I'll show you how to correct that. In addition to that, when I make more than one picture for a series of games, I keep them, unless I know for certain that I'm not going to use, so that when I labeled this layout, when I put it in my picture, you will see, as I go up here, you will see I labeled it as Game 2. That will always keep me, give me an idea of what pictures I have. I've had as many as 7 because I can't get through a game. But as I say, each time you play a game over, you will pick up some additional tips, as I did in this one. Now, the mistake I made, which I will show you, I'll have to open it, which is on my last one. And sometimes we label our pictures incorrectly. And I'm going to show you how to fix that. Which level is this? 3, 5, 6. But it's my first game, so I don't have to worry about it. See, I have 3, 5, 6 down here. It will pop up. And you will see I labeled it level 3, 5, 5 when it's actually 3, 5, 6. So, for that, we need to have 2 colors. Our first color, which is our writing color, and then we have to choose a background color, which would be our second color. In this case, I think I'll use brown. We can play around with how it looks. Now, then you go into text. Click down here where you've written. Now remember, I have already reduced this to 500 pixels. So 48, in this case I probably could use, but many times I'll go down to 36. And you'll see transparent, which is what we usually do, but when we have to fix a mistake, we hit opaque. And that turned out wrong, because I want my color, my first color to be white, and I want my second color, and I want my second color to show brown. See how that shows? And I will bring that all the way down here, and I try to get it as close to what I have done here as possible. Another way you can do that is to go back into, it's not showing now, That's because it clicked off. I'm sorry. Sometimes you have to do this more than once. Which brings me to something else. When you crop a picture, resize it or whatever, this select has to be highlighted in yellow or you won't be able to do anything. See, it's not highlighted, so I can't crop the picture at all. It would have to be highlighted. Now, going back to our text, I a lot of times will not have my opaque color showing. I'll just do the transparent so that I can, oh shit, this happened again. You have to be really careful when you hit this. Gotta get to the points that you can move it. I'll move this as close to my written low one here as possible, because I don't want a lot of excess background color. Then I will go back and hit opaque. That covers it. And I go in and write. I usually do a space so it's not right at the end. 3, 5, 6. And then it's fixed. Click inside, it's fixed, you save it, and you're all set. So that's how you fix a problem. Now I'm going to go see if I can't find an actual scrolling charm game, and I will be back as soon as possible. Okay, I've gone to another game to show you how we actually do a scrolling picture. This is Eternal Isles 3910, which I've already completed, so I know what you need to do. The interesting thing, and I'm glad I picked this one, is that we have the lock and chain, and you see all of these dark areas above. Sometimes we need to mark in the dark areas like black bubbles, which we wouldn't normally mark. We'll see that we have black bubbles and mark them. But I'll get to that in a minute. So what we do is make sure we need 2 hands. We need 1 finger on the print screen key. You use your other finger on your mouse and click on scroll, move it out of the way, wait till you get your ceiling, which I did not get. Oh, the reason I didn't get it was because I'm just going back into this game and I didn't use 3 holes in the ceiling. I'm very, very sorry. That was the very top, but no 3 holes in the ceiling show. That's the picture. I did a screenshot. I go back here to the start place. Start on your lower toolbar. Hit paint. Paste. Save. And since I've already done this, I'm just going to write EI 3910 sample. And that'll keep me from pulling that up again. Now this is one of those instances, as you scroll down through your picture, you'll see that the whole layout did not show up. I will show you later how to fix that. But right now, I just want to show you how you handle your full layout screenshots. This one we're going to definitely need to reduce the size to get to what we have in there. So we resize it. We don't always have to do this. And you don't have to do it if you're able to fix it. And we'll reduce it. Okay? And I'm going to say that. Now, what I did forget, so I'll minimize this, and go into the back of the game. I need to get my line of vision, which is right here, in your first screen. And that's 2 bubbles above this bomb that you see. Now, I click down here back on my paint. Oh, I've got a lot of things going on down there. I'm sorry. And it brings us back. So our line of vision we're going to put in white. And we're going to find, okay, 2 bubbles up here. I go over a little bit farther than I need to so that, oh. There, I got rid of my thing. Go over here to 2 bubbles. I start out a little bit farther so when I crop it, that line isn't broken. Click on my line. See, you know, there's always little things you have to do. So you're getting to see some troubleshooting things in addition. Now, before I save that line, and see that little crook in the middle, you may not see it in the video, but you want to make sure that line is straight. I already know that part of those bubbles on the top do not show in the actual layout. Okay, my line is perfectly straight. I'm not even saving this line. It isn't perfectly straight. I'm not even saving this line until I go back in and check it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it as close to the actual picture as possible. I tend to be more of a perfectionist than others, so it doesn't always happen. So now my line is perfectly straight. Do nothing. Minimize your picture. Okay, it's just above. See that little portion, just that part that shows. Now you'll also see some flashing, so you'll know where the shadow bubbles are, and you'll see some crystals show up here. Sometimes when you take the picture, the crystals show up really well because you get them at the right time of flashing. See how that flashed? So you know there's crystals up there. Now, I verified that. Let me go back down and pull this up. Let me close some of these other pictures out because I'm not using them anymore. I'm sorry for that problem. We go back in to our main picture, and we see that's pretty close. So we're going to save this now. Just by clicking on here, that'll save your line. And I think I've already reduced the size. Let me double check. Yes, I have. And let me see if that gets all of it in here. I do believe it does. And then we crop. See, this is not highlighted in, the select is not highlighted. We need to highlight that before we can crop. And I will go in here and crop. This is one of those levels, even with the full layout, that I will take more pictures of, and that is because I have, I have the locks and chains, and I have all that dark area above, and it's more difficult to see until it's light. So I like to break my lock and chains and then show some of the different colors. See, the crystals do show here, but I'm not going to mark them. I will mark the shadow, which is shown here. I will mark the infection on each side. I will mark the bombs at the top. Now, and the bomb at the bottom. If after I break that lock and chain, I see that there are black bubbles here, I'll go back to my layout picture and mark those in whatever color it calls for. If necessary, I may not. It depends on what's going on. Use your own discretion. But for instance, if this is black bubbles, it shows down here below your line of vision, and you'll want to show that. If you have black bubbles on the bottom, even though they show, and you have black bubbles on the top, you need to mark all of your black bubbles. It's not one that we mark on a regular basis, but it's one of those exceptions that if you have it on both sides, and the dark and the light part, that we will mark so that people are aware of them when they see the full layout. And then I do nothing else at this point other than take my additional pictures. As I progress, as I say, and I go through my strategy and I break these locks, I may show the next picture right away, or I may show it after I've played a while, but tell them my strategy is what I did, and get to a certain point, tell them what they need to do. In this particular level, I did need to use 3 pictures because it was an exceptionally long layout, and you just couldn't see everything as you were working up. So I had this section for my full layout. I had after I broke my locks and I was up to about here and had dropped my infection and lower bombs, telling them how to do that. Then I proceeded to go to my next picture, telling them how the next infection was dropped, the bombs are seen, upper bombs are seen, and they could see that in the picture. In this particular case, the holes in the ceiling were shown, and the ceiling was shown in the final picture. Sometimes we like to show, a lot of the times we like to show the holes in the ceiling, but other times it's not always necessary. In the event, let's say we just got the black bombs, you're only 2 rows from the ceiling, and you can proceed and just tell them how they go about and dropping it. Use your own discretion, as I said before.